what I mean, to be very broad about it, like, what is super important for step 0? For before you get on Amazon, what are some things that can really help you out, and really make your life a whole lot easier once you do launch on Amazon?
Well, growing the brand from day one is really important. Really looking forward and making sure that you have all of your bases covered. You're not just listing your product on Amazon, you're building your brand everywhere. And I mean, because a lot of people look into launching their brand on Amazon and they think, well, I'll just push sponsored ads and it'll do good. I mean, it'll just show up in front of people and it'll do well. But there's so much more to it than just running sponsored ads, right? There's startup period where you're really kind of doing more so, like, I guess we'll get into it in a minute, but your website, social media, and really building a brand presence off Amazon. Nowadays, it's so condensed with Chinese sellers that have a bunch of letters as their name, right? And in a lot of categories, that's who you're up against. And if you can really put yourself out there as a real strong brand with a brand focus, you can go a long way, even in categories where there's a lot of reviews or a lot of competitive nature, just because you are a real brand. So just focusing on all the steps before you actually even launch the product on Amazon are ideally important, with step one being just growing the brand off, I mean, establishing the brand off Amazon.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of leads me right into the first question for Cutter. First talking point is what do you have to like do to really grow the brand? I mean, like how important are going to be like your advertising on social media? What do you think are some of the best ways to grow your brand off of Amazon?
Cool. I mean, growing the brand and starting a brand, those are two different questions. So,
Mm,
starting the brand, if you're starting on Amazon, the one thing I would say is visual cohesion. Um, you want to have your images, your product images, your inserts that go in your packaging, everything that from the bottom of the insert in the package to the packaging itself to the assets that you use in the Amazon store, those should be able to be clean, codified. You should be able to look at them and say, this is who we are, because then it'll
mhm.
make translating that visual brand identity into social media, into a Shopify website, getting on Walmart, wherever you want to go. Starting the brand comes down to really setting your brand style guide. Um, that's what I would say. You don't have to go all crazy like everybody does. Like, you don't need a 77-page manual to get started, but you do want to have some examples of what you want your products to look like, who your target market is, that kind of stuff. Because then knowing your target market and knowing the product that you're selling, how it impacts them, it's going to really allow you to come out strong off channel, like into social media. And when it comes to growth off channel, probably the number one thing that's going to go in 2024. Well, there's two things. There's going to be narrative approach. You're going to have to be able to tell a story, and you're going to have to be able to tell that story in under a minute to somebody with the attention span of an ant. And it's got to be on brand, and you've got to keep them engaged. There's all kinds of formulas for doing that. The biggest one is probably going to be the hook. Hook, retain, reward. That's the basic concept of growth off channel from Amazon. If you're selling, what's our client KidsWorks? If we're selling a tower for a toddler to come and help you cook or something like that, you have to hook them in with, hey, if you're a mom and your kid is 2 years old and loves cooking with you, but you can never get them, blah 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 blah. Cool, got your target audience. Hook them. You change the images in the background. Go. So it's going to be your ability to tell a narrative story that engages people, but also UGC. You're going to have some type of UGC, whether you pay an actor to get UGC, you get it wherever you get your UGC. There's many apps out there. Billo, we do
Mhm.
UGC in house, but there's a whole network and there's a whole industry on UGC because UGC content works. Other
Mm.
people buy from other people, so they see your product working and they see the kid happy and they see the kid engaged in, chopping up cucumbers with his little ceramic knife or something, that's going to make him happy. That's going to sell a tower off of Amazon from social media.
To piggyback on what Cutter was saying there too, is really looking into the niche that you need to fill in the void in the market, right? So, like he was explaining, a toddler tower. So, even from the product development phase, really doing your research, going on Amazon, seeing what's out there, and then making yours look a little bit different or solve a problem that nobody else is solving. A really good example of some of our clients, like Cutter was mentioning, is their product is quality as opposed to some of the cheap junk that people put together. It's a toddler step stool, and they made sure that theirs is high quality, which moms really really care about, and then they came out with a more contemporary style than the others in the market. So really focusing on that, even in the concept design of your product, is going to be huge, because even like what Cutter was talking about with social proof and user generated content, you really want them to be able to kind of speak to that avatar and tell them why your product is better than one that may be cheaper, or the billion other ones that are on Amazon. So starting from day one in that product design for that avatar on social media and Amazon is key.
And just like further elaborate on this topic, if we're talking about starting a brand, the way that it's going on Amazon is, I think, best case, Steph, you tell me what you think, but if you're just starting, you should have a plan to start off channel brand building instead of just on Amazon. Because what we've seen internally at Velocity Sellers is that these people will dominate the space. They'll dominate, toddler towers, and then there will be Chinese knockoffs that come in, look the exact same, and undercut price point by $25, and all of a sudden our sales start to drop. And there's no reason why, if people are shopping just based on price, there's no reason why they would pay $25 more. If you have brand and you have brand equity, and off channel you can tell the narrative story, like founder stories, all about our material, why we're different. People pay more for brand than they will for just a cheap knockoff that's in there. So if you're just starting out, invest on off channel and invest in brand building from day one, so that you can protect your products, even if you, best case scenario, win, organic ranking on Amazon.
Well, yeah, and the brand building alone, but then list building, right? Because Amazon, once you're there, those are their customers. You're not building a customer list from your Amazon sales. So if you start that early by even starting Facebook, social media, I've done with brands where we've set up like 6 months in advance just to get people excited about the rollout of a new product while they're still in development, so that you are building that list and people are ready to be there with you when you launch it. I've, seen brands with huge successes because they had lists of thousands of people before the product ever even landed at Amazon, on top of the social being built. So you're building that follower list, you're building email lists, you're building all of these people that when you turn the lights on at Amazon, boom, the traffic's already there. They're already ready. You're already getting branded search, and you'll be a lot more successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And this all goes back to like we talked about in a couple of the other episodes, like building that confidence level, like making sure that people feel good about buying your product and trusting your brand with whatever it is, whatever kind of product you're selling, whatever purpose they need to fulfill in their lives, or the thing that they need in their homes or something like that. They trust your brand more than some other brand, even though maybe the other, like Cutter, like you said, like their product is cheaper, but the confidence that you've built up in them with your images and your content, and even maybe your social media, your branding in general, is definitely invaluable. We see that a lot on Amazon and even off Amazon, on social media.